Chicago Tonight, Black Voices is made possible in part by Fifth Third Bank and by the support of these donors.
At Fifth Third, we believe when diverse voices are heard and empowered, communities are made stronger, lives are made better, and the future holds greater promise for all. That's why we're proud to support Chicago Tonight Black Voices. Together, we can make a difference. Together, we can drive change.
Good evening and welcome to Chicago Tonight Black Voices. I'm Brandis Friedman, and thank you for sharing part of your weekend with us. On the show tonight, it is a school night, so get to bed early, kids. Chicago Public Schools return to in-person learning tomorrow. We'll talk with CPS parents about how they're feeling as they prepare to send their kids back to class. A double whammy for renters. The Supreme Court strikes down the eviction moratorium as rental assistance is slow to arrive. Hundreds of kids get a chance to play sports through a determined West Side program.
Your programming has to go to the people and meet the people where they are.
And the leader of a local nonprofit organization gives the last word on what lessons he says nonprofits should be learning from the pandemic about how they can help the community. But first off tonight, it has been more than a year since Chicago Public School students have been in their classrooms full time. Now, with vaccinated staff, mask mandates, and other COVID safety protocols in place, CPS kids are about to embark on a school year unlike any other, and parents are anxiously hoping for the best. Joining us are three CPS parents: Tara Workman-Mandel, who also has two children in CPS, Darlene O'Bannon, who has two great-grandchildren in CPS schools, and Letitia Hollingsworth, who has three children in CPS. Thanks to all of you for joining us. So, Tara, let's start with you, please. Your younger daughter is going to be starting kindergarten at a CPS school this year. How are you feeling about how CPS and her school are handling COVID safety?
You know, the biggest concern I have is because she has asthma. You know, I am concerned about COVID and whether or not, she's going to be safe in the school. I do think, though, just looking at the numbers that, Chicago and Illinois have done a better job than most of the country, in terms of keeping Delta numbers low, keeping the numbers low for new COVID infections. So I'm confident. I do think that there's probably more that CPS can do. Lowering the class sizes is probably the biggest thing, keeping the kids separated. But I am confident. I think that CPS is, they're trying. They really seem like they are trying to keep our kids safe. So. And
Darlene, your great-grandkids took part in a summer program at a school to help re-engage students. Did that make you a little bit more comfortable with sending them back to the classroom this year?
Yes, they had been on remote learning up until July the 6th. And the principal did an enrichment program for the parents to help us to re-engage us back into the building, our children back into the building. The parent volunteers are back in the building. And we just had an open house on Wednesday. And it allowed the parents to come in to see the setting of the school, the circulation of the school. And I'm comfortable and I'm good. I'll be there still volunteering. And I'm good to go with the back to school 5 days a week. I'm ready to go back.
And
I'm ready for them to go back.
I'm sure you are.
Yeah,
Parents all over the world. Letitia, you have two teens and a tween. How are they feeling about returning to in-person learning?
Well, at first they was very excited about going back. And then finally when they did go back, they just was like, we don't want to go back no more. We want to stay home and learn from home. They was complaining about how the school are not properly handing out masks like they should. They was complaining about the lunch, and then like Miss O'Bannon said, they didn't give us an open house. That would have been nice if we had open house to see how they was gonna run a school year.
Yeah, so it sounds like you probably could have used a little bit more communication. On that note, Tara, what is the level of communication that you've received from your children's schools? Has it been enough?
You know, like my daughter's high school, they actually had a parent orientation on Thursday night, which was really nice because they talked about, you know, all the protocols that they put in place, what they were doing to try to keep the kids safe. You know, obviously with a high school, we're concerned about, you know, in between classes, you know, how the kids move, you know, everybody's in the hallway at the same time. And they were telling us that they're going to stagger so that everybody's not in the hallway at the same time and give them more time to get in between classes. So, you know, they did have a lot of answers. And I think that one of the things I really liked about the new principal is that she also communicated that, you know, this is something new and they don't have all the answers yet, but they are working and they are trying to communicate when they do have answers to the parents. So I was really, you know, happy to hear that from her. So I thought that was a very good answer for her.
And Darlene, you know, with COVID infections on the rise, are you concerned at all that we'll have to shift back into remote learning at some point?
Well, all of us, the whole world is dealing with something that we never had to deal before. I am vaccinated. I have had both of I'm fully vaccinated. At my age, I am 64, and I don't have any underlying condition, but if I had to take a booster, which my 8 months would be up in January, I would be ready to take the booster. And if we have to go back on remote learning, then we just have to go back and then let the COVID rate go back down, and then we have to go back to school. Anyway it go, our kids got to go to school one way or the other. So if something happened with the variant and we have to go back on remote learning, I'm ready to go back. Our school is over communication. My kids go to Charles W. Earl over here in West Inglewood. And I feel like CPS, the school, my principal is Cedero Pettis. I feel like they don't went over with the communication and I feel good about the return.
So it sounds like you're getting a lot of communication. You feel good about it. Letitia, it sounds like you probably could have used a little bit more communication from your kids' schools. Do you feel like they're doing enough to adequately support parents to keep your students safe?
No, I don't feel like that. I feel completely different from these two young ladies that's on the call now, because we had an orientation, but it was just like it wasn't a detailed breakdown. It was like she stated earlier that they don't have all the answers right now, but you guys had at least over 6 months to come up with a proper plan so that the kids can return back. So this is what y'all came up with after all these months. So I'm concerned. Like, I want them to go back, but like, I'm still concerned. And now that they're saying that COVID is going to the little kids, I'm real concerned.
Yeah. So Tara, you know, on that note, a lot of COVID safety in schools, it relies on other parents to encourage their children, of course, to follow the rules, and teachers to do some of the same thing with regards to mask wearing, keeping their kids out of school if they're showing symptoms, making sure that everybody's following, you know, hand washing protocols. Tara, do you feel like you can count on other parents and families to do that, to keep kids home if they're feeling sick, making sure that they have masks?
I think for the most part, yes. And, you know, I base that on the fact that, you know, if we look at the numbers for Chicago and Illinois, based on, like I said, a lot of other big cities, a lot of other areas in the country, we're actually doing a lot better. And that's because we're vaccinated at, you know, high percentage of adults are vaccinated. And we've been wearing the mask. You know, I know that everybody's not doing it in our community, but a lot of people are. So I am confident that I think most parents will do the right thing. You know, obviously there are going to be some bad actors, but I do think that most parents will be doing the right thing. So I am confident, you know, that my kid will be safe.
And we've got just a little bit of time. Letitia, I want to get to you. What more do you, well, actually, I want to ask, you know, do you think the vaccine requirement for, you know, for teachers, healthcare workers, does that make you feel any more confident or safer about your kids' safety in school?
With that being said, like when it come down to the vaccine, because I'm vaccinated, I got my last dose in July. I just have some questions, like if it's been mandated that, you know, they get the vaccination, why is it that we need a booster behind it? you guys were just pushing out the issue that we need to get vaccinated. And now they coming back with around, hey, we need a boost. So I'm concerned. Like, I don't think that a lot of teachers or parents going to receive that. I think they is going to go on strike. I feel like that's going to be another setback for us because they saying, hey, we've been doing it this long. Even the nurse and the doctors saying that they've been doing it without the vaccine for so long now. Why is it that it's mandatory
So
that
a lot of
they get
concerns.
vaccinated?
Best of luck to the three of you tomorrow on the first day of school. Our thanks to Tara Workman-Mandel, Darlene O'Bannon, and Letitia Hollingsworth for joining us. Good luck on the first day. Up next, resources for renters as federal aid is slow to arrive. Stay with us. Renters across the country may soon face eviction now that the U.S. Supreme Court has struck down the Biden administration's extension of the eviction moratorium. Now, this comes on the heels of reports that show only 11% of federal rental assistance dollars have been distributed nationwide. Joining us with more is Makita Lee, the North Lawndale Program Coordinator with the Neighborhood Housing Services of Chicago, and Seneca Odoms, a board member at Communities United, an organization that focuses on preventing the displacement of low-income families. Thanks to you both for joining us. Makita, let's start with you, please. The Supreme Court ruling comes as Illinois' own moratorium was recently extended until September 18th. How will this Supreme Court ruling affect renters in Cook County?
I'm a little concerned, honestly, because I don't think that they are thinking about the long term and the bigger picture. I'm hoping that moving forward, that Illinois has at least enough funding so we can extend the eviction moratorium. But I'm hoping that the Supreme Court will overturn this ruling and will actually make a change, because there are a lot of people who actually really need this funding. There are people who have already received the funding and need additional funding, and there's those who haven't received any funding for rental or mortgage assistance. So it's truly important that we get additional monies.
And so when you say you're hoping the Supreme Court will overturn the ruling, you're referring to a separate case, not the one that they just ruled on.
Next.
Okay. Seneca, you've been doing outreach in Roseland for rental assistance. What have you been hearing from people about the application process?
Well, for the most part, it's the issue that I've been hearing has to do with I would say the
has it been sort of a complicated process, or people not knowing where to go?
I guess there would be a technology gap is where the majority of people that I've spoken with, it's a technology gap, but the challenge of gathering documentation, who do you call when you need some help, where do you go, things of that nature.
Okay. So in Cook County, we know that 12,000 people have applied for assistance, and about half of those people have received the funds. There's about $13 million left to distribute. Makita, is that going to be enough to meet the need that exists?
I don't think so, personally. I think that we need additional funding altogether, because, again, like I said before, there are definitely people who haven't received it, and there are still people constantly applying to get this funding. We definitely need more money for this, for sure.
And Seneca, how do you think outreach about this assistance to communities can be improved? What more can be done?
Well, let's make a stand. We need to have people speak more about it. Let's talk to people. Let's get the higher ups involved and let them know that hey, we need help out here. We need people. We need ways to reach different organizations to help us. So it's just about we're losing families here. This is a possibility to devastate our communities. So we definitely need to have a mouth out here, and everybody needs to speak up, and let's get our words heard.
Seneca, you mentioned a technology gap. What's kind of like being required of people with regards to documents and how they're being submitted, and what kind of assistance is out there to help sort of bridge that gap?
Well, the technology gap is basically about cell phones. It's about learning how to upload documents. It's about learning how to bring PDF files and to save it and to send it. And a lot of people are not familiar with that. And nowadays everyone's computer is a cell phone. So for the most part, if we're not understanding of how to upload PDF files, there's no way to get these documents out. So we need people in place to have that information sent out and so we can get people sufficiently getting this information and sending this information out. So yeah, it's just about getting the word heard and
getting the word heard. I want to get Makita in on this same question. What resources are available to renters?
So for NHS, we are currently taking people and having appointments set so they can apply with us. They can either do it on the phone or they can actually come in and we will tell them the actual documents they need to submit and we will upload them for them. We also have a number. If you go to nhschicago.org/emergency assistance, all of the information is there. We have been taking the time to make sure, because we do realize there is a technology gap and that everybody does not have access to the internet or computer. So we have been making sure that we take those additional steps to make the application process easier.
And Seneca, what has been your personal experience, please? I know that you've applied for assistance as well and have been waiting for some time. What do you mind telling us about that?
Absolutely. I've applied in May. I'm still waiting as we speak. Even me knowing a little bit about technology still had an issue with the technology of getting documents sent. There was some problems with something that I've sent. I've gotten messages back and forth to resend and send. But at this point, I'm still waiting. I'm hopeful. It's been problematic since this pandemic. My tenant has suffered. We all have suffered, and
we wish you the best of.
Absolutely.
Sadly, we're out of time on this segment, but we wish you both the best of luck in the work that you're doing. Thanks so much for joining us, Makita Lee and Seneca Odoms.
Thank you.
A group of police officers and community leaders are using their time off to give back to underserved communities by getting young kids to play sports. Reporter Joanna Hernandez heads to Columbus Park on the west side to learn more.
One person can make an impact in a young person's life. Just ask Sergeant Jermaine Harris. He is one of the co-founders of Chicago West Side Sports.
There was projects around with police and youth with baseball programs had been around. And there was a grant that was attached to it where officers here in the 15th district in the Austin community were working with kids and playing baseball, but the grant ran out. And so in seeing like the benefit of what that was, so in 2019, it was a lot of brainstorming and ideas of like, we gotta bring this back.
Harris joined forces with Stephanie Marquardt, executive director of a community resource organization, City of Refuge, to offer the program for free to kids wanting to play baseball, basketball, and learn archery. On this day, more than 20 kids from all around the West Side are coming together to play baseball at Columbus Park.
I like the sportsmanship and the competitiveness. I like being able to play against our friends.
13-year-old Avion Tart has been participating in the program since it relaunched 3 years ago.
It makes us feel loved and cared for. Outside of our fathers and stuff, we have somebody else to look to.
Tart is one of about 250 kids involved in Chicago West Side Sports, an operation where police officers, local churches, and community leaders from different organizations come together with a common goal: to build community.
One of the things that's come out of this is the children and the police officers are having conversations that there's no other space for that to happen. Some of the kids are coming in with chips on their shoulders. Maybe they had family members who had bad interactions with the police. Some of the police officers are coming in with chips on their shoulders because maybe they've been in this neighborhood for a long time and they've seen some of the worst aspects of people.
The program is run by volunteers, and Sergeant Harris says it gives these kids a safe space to not only have fun and improve on the field, but also develop life skills.
Just come out here and see a smile and see a kid say, "Hi, coach," give you a hug, look forward to you, fist bump, like all of those little interpersonal activities that go on between youth and police and between our community and our young people, it's just so inspiring and you get addicted to it. That's that kind of thing, like we got to do more, we want to do more.
It's Pastor Michael Lancaster's first year participating in the program and says efforts like this are needed.
For a moment in the craziness of life, just have fun, be a kid.
This going all over the world.
Sergeant Harris has been an officer for 18 years and says this initiative has helped him navigate his own mental health from the time when he began coaching his son years ago.
I realized in looking back that those summers and the time I spent with kids who were doing the opposite of what I saw at work. They were happy, they were smiling, they were laughing, they weren't victims of crime, and that gave me balance. And so what I really wanted to do was provide an opportunity for younger officers to get that same thing I got.
Through sports, education, and mentoring, these volunteers are hoping to give kids the opportunity to dream beyond their community.
I like that they protect us, they're trying to keep us safe, keep us out of this danger world.
Sergeant Harris would like to see the program expand citywide one day. In the meantime, he's focused on getting even more kids from the neighborhood to participate.
Really, we want the kids to be able to come to this space and be safe so that they can be vulnerable, to be loved, right, to be supported, to develop friendships.
For Avian Tart's mother, it's a way for her son to stay on the right track.
I've seen him grow tremendously. I've seen him make friends. I've seen him grow in the classroom because of the discipline that he's gained on the field. It transfers over into schools.
Some of these young players already have dreams of making it big one day.
Make it to the MLB and help my family.
Ready?
For Chicago Tonight, Black Voices, I'm Joanna Hernandez.
The program runs year-round, and those participating are getting ready to start basketball season. And if you want details about how to sign your child up, you can just head over to our website. Over the past 18 months, the COVID pandemic spurred many community-minded Chicagoans to seek out ways to help their neighbors, especially helping feed people. One of those people is Dion Dawson, founder of Dion's Chicago Dream. Tonight, he gives us the last word on how he says community organizations should examine their own efforts to make sure they're accomplishing their goals.
My name is Dion Dawson. I'm the founder and executive director of Dion's Chicago Dream, a nutritional nonprofit based out of Inglewood that focuses on fighting food insecurity. What food insecurity is and why we focused on it is simple. It's something that requires consistency to give residents a healthy option on a normal basis. We think it's very, very important that when you're fighting food insecurity, that it comes from a place of setting a quality standard and a consistency level, so then we can start stabilizing how we feed people. So it's a few things that we've learned in this pandemic when it comes to feeding people, but also nonprofits in general, is that your offering can't be event-based. It has to be programming-based. It's only because people eat every day. Feeding somebody one time or offering fresh produce one time in a 3-month span is not sufficient for solving the core problem. So that is why with Project Dream Fridge, we feed people every day. That's why with Dream Deliveries, we deliver to households every week. We want them to get used to a certain quality so they can feel that not only do they deserve it, but also what fresh produce looks like. Because we feel that in order to meet a certain quality line, you have to make sure that you own everything that your hand touches. So we own our vehicles, we own our produce, we buy it, so we get to dictate how we disseminate it to the public. And so we think that in this pandemic, it taught us that we have to make sure that we're focused on being directly to the people and not being a place-based institution. And so now when you think about, how do we move on from just feeding people or having programming, we actually think about, okay, after the pandemic, how are you going to provide value from your organization to the general public? And we realize that the first thing that you have to do is understand what your mission is. What does your organization give as far as being closely related to the problem and how you solve it? And how can you be unique in your offerings? And so for us, our mission is feeding people. Not just feeding them, but feeding them quality. For you, it could be how can you at your job provide quality to the general public, or how can you provide quality from your nonprofit to your neighborhood? Your programming has to go to the people and meet the people where they are. And so if that programming is not doing that and you're not actively working to position it to that, then you're not doing the right thing and you're not applying what we learned from this COVID pandemic. We think that it's essential to nonprofit operations that you're actually inspiring people to do better, inspiring people to be better, inspiring people to care about their fellow man, woman, and child, and making sure that those programs, making sure that those offerings are of a certain quality so that people can actually have pride and it inspire them to do more.
And Chicago Tonight digital reporter Kristen Tometz also talked to Dion Dawson about the story of his Inglewood childhood and how he started Dion's Chicago Dream. You can read that profile and watch more in our Last Word series on our website. And that's our show for this Sunday night. Join Paris Schutz and me this week at 7 on Chicago Tonight. Now, for all of us here at Chicago Tonight Black Voices, I'm Brandis Friedman. Thank you for sharing part of your weekend with us. Stay healthy and safe, and have a good night.
Closed captioning is made possible by Robert A. Clifford and Clifford Law Offices, a Chicago personal injury and wrongful death firm that supports free educational initiatives in the legal profession.